Welcome to the Liberty and Democracy Podcast. Are you a passionate believer in liberty and democracy? Are you concerned about the growing infiltration of Marxist and socialist ideology in our politics, media, and culture? This podcast was created by a citizen of the United States who was born and raised in Romania, a socialist country in Eastern Europe, during the 1970s and 1980s. As more and more members of our youth pivot towards Marxism, socialism, and communism in the United States of America and beyond, now, more than ever, it is important to focus on liberty and democracy, instead of the alluring Marxist and socialist trends which, as history repeatedly has shown, lead to repressive authoritarian regimes. Marxism does not lead to utopia either in the United States of America or anywhere else in the world. Let us question governments, policies, and manufactured social progressivism. Let us go back to the times when it was okay for us to agree to disagree. Welcome to the Liberty and Democracy Podcast. For the next few months, our podcast episodes published on Fridays will include excerpts from Maestro Cercia's ebook, The Fall of California Under Leftist Rule, to help you understand further the negative effects of Marxist and socialist ideology that has turned perhaps the most beautiful state of the United States of America into a state people struggle to survive and often wish to leave. Are you ready? Let's begin.
Welcome to the Liberty and Democracy Podcast. In today's episode, we will listen to Maestro Cercia's ebook, The Fall of California Under Leftist Rule. And now, let's focus on Chapter 1, Calamity of Socialist Policies, including Subchapter, Comparing Economic Models. Are you ready? Let's begin. Chapter 1, Calamity of Socialist Policies. Comparing Economic Models. The dizzying whirl of socialist ideology has once again cast its dark shadow over the Golden State, and as a lifelong Californian and survivor of the Ceausescu regime, I feel a deep sense of duty to expose the dangers that lurk beneath the seductive promises of central planning. Having lived through the bleak realities of command economies, I know all too well the bitter taste of empty store shelves, endless lines, and the soul-crushing grip of government control. And now, as I watch history repeat itself in the policies of California's leftist politicians, I am compelled to raise my voice and shine a light on the stark contrasts between the free market and the socialist model. As I reflect on my childhood in socialist Romania, the images that come to mind are a far cry from the sun-drenched, prosperous California I now call home. Instead of bustling streets and thriving businesses, I remember the grim, gray landscape of state-owned factories, their smokestacks belching out the fumes of a system that valued production over people. The shelves in our local stores were barren, save for a few meager offerings that were rationed and doled out with an iron fist. Obtaining even the most basic necessities, from food to clothing, was a daily battle, a never-ending game of wits against the bureaucratic machine that sought to control every aspect of our lives. And yet, despite the hardships we endured, the government insisted that we were living in a workers' paradise, a utopia of economic equality and social justice. But the reality was far from the rhetoric, as the privileged elite lived in luxury while the masses struggled to survive. The promise of a classless society was nothing more than a cruel illusion, a facade that masked the true nature of the system, one of oppression, corruption, and a complete disregard for the individual. Now, as I watch California's politicians embrace the same misguided ideologies that once ravaged my homeland, I cannot help but feel a sense of dread and foreboding. The free market capitalism that has fueled California's prosperity for generations is being systematically undermined, replaced by the siren song of centralized planning and government control. The consequences of this shift are already evident: skyrocketing housing costs, a widening wealth gap, and a stifling of innovation and entrepreneurship. But the true tragedy lies in the fact that the proponents of these socialist policies seem to be willfully blind to the lessons of history. They speak of economic justice and social equity, but their solutions invariably involve the heavy hand of the state, the very same mechanism that once crushed the dreams and aspirations of my people. They promise a utopia of abundance and security, but their path leads only to the abyss of scarcity and oppression. As I compare the two economic models, the contrast is stark and unyielding. In the free market, individuals are empowered to pursue their own dreams and aspirations, to reap the rewards of their hard work and ingenuity. Goods and services are allocated not by the whims of bureaucrats, but by the invisible hand of supply and demand, a system that is inherently self-regulating and responsive to the needs of consumers. Innovation flourishes, as entrepreneurs are free to take risks and bring new products and services to the market, driving progress and improving the lives of all. In contrast, the socialist model places the means of production and distribution in the hands of the state, with central planners making decisions on behalf of the entire population. This centralized approach may seem efficient on paper, but in practice, it is fraught with flaws. Instead of responding to the dynamic needs of the market, the system becomes rigid and inflexible, unable to adapt to changing circumstances. Shortages and surpluses become the norm, as the planners struggle to accurately forecast demand and coordinate the flow of goods and services. Moreover, the loss of individual autonomy and the stifling of entrepreneurial spirit are perhaps the most insidious consequences of the socialist model. Under a centralized system, the individual is subsumed by the collective, their dreams and aspirations subordinated to the needs of the state. The spark of innovation is snuffed out, as the risk-takers and visionaries are either co-opted or crushed by the weight of bureaucratic control. And the societal implications of this economic model are equally dire. As the state becomes the sole arbiter of economic life, the citizens become mere cogs in the machine, their livelihoods and well-being entirely dependent on the whims of those in power. The promise of equality is often reduced to a bleak uniformity, as the state seeks to level all differences and impose a homogeneous vision of society. The individual's right to choose, to pursue their own path, is sacrificed on the altar of the collective. In contrast, the free market approach fosters a vibrant, diverse, and dynamic society, where individuals are free to pursue their dreams and contribute to the common good in their own unique ways. The wealth generated by this system is not concentrated in the hands of a few, but rather distributed through the countless transactions and exchanges that take place every day. The result is a society that is not only economically prosperous, but also rich in cultural diversity and individual expression. As I reflect on these contrasting economic models, I am reminded of the wise words of the great economist Milton Friedman, who once said, "The fundamental threat to freedom is the power to coerce." And therein lies the crux of the matter: the socialist model, with its reliance on centralized planning and state control, represents a grave threat to individual liberty and the very foundations of a free society. It is a path that I have seen lead only to despair and oppression, a road that California's politicians seem intent on treading, heedless of the lessons of history. But I refuse to remain silent. As a citizen of this great state, I feel a profound responsibility to speak out against the siren song of socialism, to sound the alarm and warn my fellow Californians of the dangers that lie ahead. For I have seen firsthand the devastating consequences of this flawed ideology, and I will not stand idly by as it threatens to unravel the very fabric of the society we hold dear. The choice before us is clear: do we embrace the vibrant, dynamic, and free market-driven economy that has made California the envy of the world, or do we succumb to the false promises of socialist utopia, only to find ourselves trapped in the grim realities of shortages, rationing, and the crushing weight of government control? The future of our state, and indeed, our nation, hangs in the balance. And as a survivor of socialism, I can say with absolute certainty that the path of centralized planning leads only to darkness and despair. It is a path we must reject, for the sake of our children, our grandchildren, and the generations yet to come.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Liberty and Democracy Podcast. We hope you found today's content interesting, intriguing, and useful. You're invited to join us again, as our podcast episodes are now published every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. In the meanwhile, don't forget to visit our ebook page at www.sersea.com/ebooks, as well as stop by our website at www.libertarian.center, or our Liberty and Democracy YouTube channel at bit.ly/democracy videos.